Good morning, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you very much to Adelante Mujer for having all of you here. I do things a little bit differently. I like to walk around, take a look at all of you. How many of you are in high school? Hands. The only way we can inspire people is to tell you about how we did it. So let's talk about that. Let me share with you what it took for me to get to where I am and see if you can. So I grew up in Highland Park. Anybody know where that is? Okay. When I grew up in Highland Park, at that time in Highland Park, that's when gangs were starting to form. Avenues, Dogtown, Cypress Park, Florencia, all of those horrible gangs. And I went to high school probably with the majority of the gang members. But that was my neighborhood. Majority Latino. My parents came from Yucatan, Mexico. They only spoke Spanish and Maya. They were not educated. They were extremely poor. My mom and dad had 7 kids, and we were very poor. So, my father tried to work. He was an immigrant. He came in here initially illegally, and then he couldn't get a job to support all 7 kids. So, an old friend who got to know him here came to him and said, hey, if you get a high school diploma and you become a citizen, I can get you a good job. Sure enough, my dad in his mid-40s went back to Franklin High School when we were there, got his high school diploma, became a citizen, and he got a job at Hughes Aircraft Company. My mother didn't get an education, and what she did to try to support the family was she would go and get piecework for sewing. How many of you have family members that sew to earn? Okay, hands down. So my mom would have somebody come in a big van and drop off tons and packages of clothes that she had to sew at home. And she had 7 of us lined up, helping her out and snipping everything and cutting and putting things in order. I was young, and I remember on one instance, the van came to pick up the work that my mom had completed. Remember, my mom didn't speak English. She didn't work somewhere formal. The people came to pick up the packages, and she was owed a lot of money. Back then it was a lot of money. You know what the people said to her? They said, we're not paying today. She said, why? And they said, we don't think you did the right work. They took the work. They didn't pay her. Why do you think that happened to us?
They took advantage of her.
Why did they take advantage of her? Can you tell me why?
Because she couldn't speak English and she wasn't a documented citizen.
How many of you agree with that? Hands down. How many of you feel that that's happened to you and your family one way or another? Hands down. Okay. Yes, I was young. I couldn't figure it out then, but that's what happened. They took advantage of her and our family. And even when I was young, at that moment, I said, I'm pissed. But I couldn't do anything either. I had to go to school. And I was not a good student, ladies. I was not a good student. I was a homegirl from Highland Park. So I was in high school, and I was not getting good grades. They had this thing called work study, where you get to leave 5th and 6th period to go work. And I quit math, and I went to go work. And my teacher told me, quit work, don't quit math, you've got to stay in school. I said, why? I need to help my family. I don't have some money. And she begged me, and I said, no, I'm going to go work. So I went to go work. I did graduate. But how many of us graduate and don't really know how to read and write? Oh, come on. Come on. You know. It's true, a lot. So I did graduate, but because my 3 sisters, I'm the youngest of all the girls, were all in college, I went to college. And I went to this rich school up in Rancho Palos Verdes called Marymount Palos Verdes College, very expensive 2-year school, and I followed my sister there. So my first week at Marymount, they sent me out to go get tested for math and reading and writing. And then they stopped and they gave me the results, and guess what they said? Do you think they said I was great? How many think they said I was great? How many do you think they said you didn't do so well? Oh, come on. Ladies, let me tell you something. They pulled me aside and they said, you did horribly. You have to go to what's called remedial classes. where you have to redo math and you have to redo reading and writing. How many feel like that? Okay, yes. Yes, I had to go to remedial classes. It was a great school. They got me through the remedial classes. I kept going to school. I couldn't afford it because my mom and dad had no money. My parents never paid for any of us to go to college. We had nothing. I couldn't afford it. I went over to East LA College. I go to East LA College the first week there, guess what they tell me? You gotta go get tested. We gotta check and see where you're at on math, reading, and writing. So I took that test. How many of you think I did okay? Hands down. How many think I didn't? Okay, guess what? I didn't. They told me, you gotta go back. You gotta take the remedial courses for reading and writing and math. I had to do it again. So I did. And I did super well at East LA College. I got on the Dean's honor list, and I didn't know what to do after that. Counselor said to me, you have good grades. Apply to UCLA. I said, okay. So I did. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this funny story. I had the application. I had to get over to Westwood. I didn't know where Westwood was. My sister borrowed a car, took me all the way to Westwood to go submit my application. And I have to tell you something, and I mean no offense or disrespect, but I had never, ever in my life seen so many white people. And I was shocked. Just like Lisette said, it was different. I was shocked. Well, I got admitted to UCLA. I went to the transfer summer program. First week out, guess what they told me? You gotta get tested. So they sent me to the testing classes. How many of you think I did okay now? Okay? Okay, hands down. How many think I did badly? Oh, come on. I did badly. UCLA told me, forget it. Go back to the remedial classes. You are not up to par. You've got to do better. So they sent me to the remedial classes, and I had to do it again. And that's okay. Now, when they sent me to one of these remedial writing classes, the professor there is the kind of professor that would make us write papers, and then he would get in front of the class and he would say, student, come and read this paper to the students. He wouldn't tell you which student wrote it. He would just say, read it, we're gonna talk about it, tear it up, cut it apart. So that's what we did. So he called me up one day and he said, read this essay. So I'm reading this essay and I see this word spelled C-H-A-O-S. What is that?
Chaos.
So you're awesome. This Chicana grabbed the paper and I said, blah, 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 chouse. And the professor looked at me and said, what? I said, chouse. And I turned red as a tomato. And he said, that's chaos, Miss Escobedo. And I said, I'm sorry, Professor. I'm a Chicana from Highland Park. I'm Mexican. Everything CH is Chuck to me. What did I know? What did I know? I started teaching as a teacher assistant my last year at UCLA. It was crazy. We had no money, remember. It was very tough for me, very tough for our family. And the example I want to give you is what happened to me in my last year at UCLA. I would get up super early and go to work at an elementary school from 7:30 until approximately 11:30. I would get on my bicycle, ride back up to Westwood, and take my classes from about noon until about 2:30. Then I'd go out and get a ride to go all the way out to East LA to do an internship at the Legal Aid Foundation for several hours. And then I'd go all the way back to Westwood and do my classes from about 5:30 or 6 until about 10 at night. And then I'd go to my next job, which was at a hotel, from about 10:30 until 2:30 in the morning, and do it all again the next day. And that's what I had to do to get to school. Because it's not easy for us when we're poor, right? We do whatever it takes. So that's what I did. But I graduated UCLA, and there was a Chicano counselor. See, I call them Chicanos because that's what we called us in those days. Now we're all Latinos. But the Chicano counselor came to me and said, hey, what are you doing after UCLA? I said, I don't know. I wasn't the best student either. I spent so much time working and doing all this other stuff, and my grades out of UCLA were pretty average. But the counselor said, love to argue. Why do you like law school? I said, okay. So I went and I took that exam that's called the LSAT, ugly exam. But you can do it, LSAT. So I took the exam and I got admitted to the University of San Francisco and many others, but I chose USF in San Francisco. 180 students were admitted in the school that year. 2 Latinas. Well, that's good. When you think about it, you should be saying, are you kidding me? Right? 180 students in the admitting class, and there's only 2 Latinas? That was me from Los Angeles and my buddy from San Francisco. And let me tell you a story about law school. When you get to law school, they stand you up in an auditorium like this, and they say, look to your right, look to your left. At the end of this year, one of you are gone. Well, my friend Leticia and I were sitting there looking at each other, and we're saying, well, we're the only Latinas, they're getting rid of us. Right? We were scared. We're thinking, we're looking around, there's nobody else like us. But guess what? Good story is, both Leticia and I graduated, we both passed the bar, and we're both lawyers. Now, after law school, you are then what's called a Juris Doctorate, a doctor of law. You're not a lawyer yet. You cannot be a lawyer until you pass the state bar exam, which is 3 days long. State of California has the toughest exam. So, I took the bar the first time, I did not pass. And I cried, and my poor mom and dad were thinking, why is she wasting all this time? But they encouraged me. They said, do it again. Dale. Do it again. Get up. Just like they say, fall down, get up, and do it again. I did. So I'm in a hall just like this, if not bigger. Chandeliers in the ceilings because it was a big hotel ballroom. And everyone's studying. Not studying, taking the test. And there's proctors. You know what a proctor is? The people that make sure you're not cheating, they're on you. This is the California State Bar. And everyone's nervous and they're doing their test. And all of a sudden, the room starts shaking. We're having an earthquake in 1990. Somebody, several people, panicked because it wasn't a light little earthquake, it was a pretty good one. Raced out of the hallway with the test. California, are you kidding? Everyone's thinking, oh my God. Proctors settle everybody down. We finished the test. They apparently got that person back. Because if that test goes out and it gets in the hands of somebody, what do you think happens? Cheating. They can't have that. So California State Bar is in an uproar. And we're all thinking, oh, Lord have mercy, none of us is going to ever pass this bar. Well, I got the letter and it said, congratulations, you passed the bar. And I'll tell you what, guys, with my history, not being the best student ever, I keep thinking, thank you, God, you were looking out for me, because if it weren't for that earthquake, I bet I wouldn't have passed. But here we are. So, now I'm in practice. I owe $60,000 in loans. When you graduate, you may owe $160,000. Don't worry about it. And I'll tell you why later. But $60,000, I'm thinking, oh my God, there's a government freeze, nobody's hiring. What do? I open my own practice, and I start practicing. And I start representing people in family law, criminal. We did this one case where we sued universities on behalf of professors of color because universities like UCs would not promote tenure and hire people of color to teach their students. So we sued the UC Regents, and we were the first case ever to beat the UC Regents in a verdict by jury. And that was for Professor Dr. Rodolfo Acuna, who is known as the godfather of Chicano studies, over at CSUN. So that's what we did. And then after that, I was hired by judges to become what's called a subordinate judicial officer. I was called a referee. They said, Millie, we need you to come and help. We don't have enough judges, we need you to come and help. You're not a judge, you're a referee, but you do the same work with the exception of a few things. I said, sure. So one day I'm sitting in my little court, and I'm looking at the list of judges. How many judges do you think there were in the state of California in what year was that? Something 1998? How many judges do you think in the whole of LA County? Yes. Yes. 3? 3?
how many courtrooms? Where's the commander? He knows. Pasadena Court has at least 20 courtrooms. How many in the whole of LA County? Guess. 25? 25? One building holds 25. How many in the county?
Probably 600 too.
Good guess. Any other guesses? How many?
1,000.
Good guess. At that time, there were about 540 judges in LA County. And I counted how many Latinas were judges. How many do you think there were?
None.
None. Good guess. What do you guess? One. Guess.
6.
Good guess. Guess.
10.
10. Oh, you're all making it pretty low, huh? Okay, 540 judges. 4 were Latinas. 4. So I did the same thing you did. I said, what? Are you kidding me? I talked to several friends and I said, that's it. I'm gonna be a judge. So I ran for judge with the help of many friends, because you can't do things alone in life. You need friends, you need people to help you. And they're always there for you. In your life, when you need someone, there will be someone there for you. Your teachers, your counselors, the good friends, not the bad friends. They will be there for you. So remember that. So I ran for office in 2004. I won my election, and I got more votes than George Bush in LA County. That helped me become the first Latina to be elected LA Countywide. So that's how I did it. Does that make me different from you? Is my story different from you? It's not. You're all brilliant. You all have the capacity to do it. And some of you might be saying, wait a minute, I don't have any money. I don't have anything. Let me tell you something. Don't ever, ever let money stop you from going to college. Ever. Take out your loans. Who knows? Maybe a president will make a big program that says, I forgive all student loans if you do this type of work, right? Go. You go to school. Because even if you take out all the loans and you're going to become that grand professional, you will pay them all back and you'll still have your house and your car. In the first 5 years of my practice, I paid off all my loans, bought my first beautiful house, and had 2 luxury cars. Okay? Now, so that's what could be done. How many of you think you're not going to go to college because somebody's telling you not to? Oh, don't be shy. Come on now. Okay. And how many of you have people in your own family that are telling you not to go to college? All right. Guess what? There's more of you out there. I know it. You're just shy. Sometimes your worst enemy when it comes to college is going to be your own family. Mom and Dad, I love you all, but here's the reality. You've got Mom and Dad saying, Mijo, mija, we need your help. Go to work. No. Your buddy comes up to you, hey, let's go get a job. We're going to go party. We'll buy a car. We'll do this. We'll do that. We don't need to waste time at school. No. We don't have any money. We can't do it. You're not going to school. Say no. There used to be this campaign that was called Say No to Drugs. Say no to anybody that tells you you're not going to college. You must go. You will go. And let me tell you why. Look at yourselves. You are our future. If you go to college and become a professional, you make my future and your future bright. If you do not go to college, do not get educated, and do not become a professional, you make your future and my future bleak. What kind of future do you want? Hello? You're right. And I look at all your beautiful faces and I say, you can do it. Don't let anyone stop you. Ever. Thank you. You probably are all better students than I was, so there's no reason why you can't make it. I'm always, ladies and gentlemen, available for commentary if you want to come and talk to me, if you want to chat with me, if you're feeling down and depressed and you want to be inspired, come to my court. Of course, you'll see the judge side of me, which is not that nice. But you're welcome to come to my court. And I hope that all of you are going to go to college and become up here speaking in the years to come. Thank you, everybody.